In this presentation, you will learn about reflexive modernization. Beck claims that modernity takes place through unplanned and unforeseen phase that is pushing it to confront its own models, foundations, and boundaries. In his words, modernization has become reflexive. Beck's concept of reflexive modernization proposes a radicalization of modernity in which individualism, globalization, gender revolution, underemployment, and global risks undermine the foundations of classical industrial modernity and render old concepts obsolete. Modernity's internal dynamic pits it against the hitherto unknown threat of global self destruction as a result of the threats posed by specific technologies. Let's look at it in simple words. It simply means that because of modernization, the older ideas or the older concepts are not relevant anymore. Therefore, they are destroying themselves, so therefore, global self destruction. As a result, Beck portrays the risk society as entwined or mixed with reflexive modernity. In the same way that simple modernity created commodities and services that posed distribution issues, reflexive modernity is creating dangers that must be dispersed fairly. So there are challenges because of reflexive modernity. The reflexive modernization has to be viewed from two stages, which are reflexive stage. In this stage, it is seen that risks are viewed as created by modernization. And second, reflection stage. In this stage, risk is seen as growing, and there also exists critical reflection. In other words, people are viewed as dealing with constant insecurity and uncertainty in their lives. Risk also becomes political and modern. Mary Douglas's viewpoint. Now, Mary Douglas, an anthropologist, and some of her colleagues looked at the link between danger and culture. Douglas claimed that cultural interpretations of natural qualities reveal as much about the reflected character of society as they do about the underlying elements of nature itself, building on Durkheim's famous idea that religious cosmologies mirror social structures. Cultures that are carefree, independent, and dynamic tend to see nature as robust and capable of taking care of itself, whereas cultures that are unstable or concerned about defending their borders tend to see nature as fragile and in need of protection. Douglas even discussed a method of assessing risk in mature industrial cultures. According to her, risk worries in a community is related to the society's cultural insecurities. Douglas's culture theory has been difficult to verify and it presents a number of theoretical issues, including the unit of cultural analysis and the origins of cultural change. Her method serves to highlight the extent to which a culture's risk awareness may be ascribed to the form more general culture worries. Human manipulations in nature do not cause all current hazards. Though medical and environmental dangers have become more prominent since the mid 1970s, the networked and industrialized world has also been marked by concerns about crime, immigration, internet security, financial markets, and global social dislocation. Risk apprehensions can thus be attributed not just to nature and the human body, but also to contemporary civilization self perception. Risk and culture. In its broadest version, Beck's theory states that the most modern are hazardous, especially late or high modern societies. They are also reflexive in the sense that they are self inflicted. Risks in the early modern period are external to social actors and self conscious control, as though under the power of external natural forces, diseases spread, terrible weather ruined harvests, and flames consumed cities. Even if human activities increased some of these hazards, the current assumption was that they were uncontrolled. Risks such as the possibility of catastrophic nuclear reactor accidents, on the other hand, are clearly the result of human activity in high modernity. In this perspective, Victorian and early 20th century optimism about the gradual reduction of risk marks, ironically, the shift from seemingly external to socially induced danger. Modern dangers are typically the result of science and technology ventures like nuclear power, ozone depleting chemicals in the Earth's atmosphere. Scientific and technological developments are caught up in this reflexive pattern. Science and technology are involved in the cause, diagnosis, and, with luck, eventual rectification of the problem. Global warming and associated risks. Beck is particularly concerned about environmental and health hazards, particularly those posed by genetic technologies. According to Beck, modern society functions as a laboratory in which no one is held responsible for the negative consequences of technological advancement. He gives the examples of Chernobyl reactor explosion, which harmed the people and environment. Let us now look into how global warming is risky in today's time. The global warming today is a problem not of one country, but a problem for the whole world. Worldwide, yearly temperature has risen by a little more than 1 degree Celsius, or roughly 2 degrees Fahrenheit, during the Industrial Revolution. It increased by 0.07 degrees Celsius per 10 years between 1880 and 1980, when good record keeping began. Since 1981, however, the pace of growth has more than doubled. The global annual temperature has risen by 0.18 degrees Celsius every decade for the previous 40 years. What's the end result? The world has never been hotter. After 1880, 9 of the 10 hottest years have happened since 2005, with the 5 warmest years on record all occurring since 2015. Climate change doubters say that rising global temperatures have come to a halt or slowdown. However, several studies, including one published in the journal Environmental Research Letters in 2018, have refuted this assertion. People all across the world are already suffering as a result of global warming's effects. Climate scientists have now noted that we must control global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2040 if we are to prevent a future in which the worst, most devastating effects of climate change, severe droughts, wildfires, floods, tropical storms, and other disasters, which we collectively refer to as climate change, will be a part of everyday life around the world. These impacts affect everyone in some way, but they are felt most intensely by the poor, economically marginalized, and people of color for whom climate change is frequently a primary cause of poverty, relocation, hunger, and social unrest. Criticism. Many social scientists have praised Beck's overall analytical assertion, and the phrase risk society has now become a common word. The specifics of the analysis, on the other hand, have not been welcomed with the same enthusiasm. It's uncertain how modern many current threats are. The low tech industry of making cattle feed from animal protein, in the context of energy saving, low temperature process advances, is considered to have caused the outbreak of mad cow disease, which was subsequently reportedly passed to humans. More importantly, Beck's favorite examples, such as the dangers of Chernobyl nuclear fallout, have primitively democratic feel to them. On the surface, the consequences might affect both the rich and the poor. The risk society is an issue that affects everyone. However, as the environmental justice movement has demonstrated, environmental bads are still being allocated unequally along racial, gender, and class lines, notably in the United States. It's possible that the dangers of the risk society aren't distributed as evenly as Beck claims. Finally, Beck says little about the causes underlying cultural disparities in the importance of various types of risk, despite the fact that it is obvious that risk framing and policy responses vary substantially even within socially and economically equivalent places like Europe and North America. Thank you for watching the presentation. Do like, share, subscribe, and leave your comments about this presentation or any other topic you would like to learn more about.